Another set of tools help us clarify roles and responsibilities. Those tools are the donut and also the matching tool. And when we're talking about clarifying roles and responsibilities, what we want to do is make clear what the expectations are of the people who are doing the work and who works best with or who lives best with or spends time best with another individual. We borrowed this directly from an English management philosopher named Charles Handy, who wrote about it, has a chapter about it which we highly recommend, and it's in a book that, if you're in the UK, was published as The Empty Raincoat. If you're in the US, it has the title of The Age of Paradox. So please, if you're going to use that tool, read that chapter. But if you think about it, part of what we want is for people to get a set of things right. There are a set of things we want people to do where we're not looking for creativity, we're looking for them to get it right. But there are also areas where we really need, desperately, people to be creative. We need people to try things. And you can't be creative unless there's the opportunity to get it wrong. So when you think of the donut and you look at it, you see that there's several concentric circles. And the inner ring, inside that inner ring, are core responsibilities. Those things that we really expect people to do correctly. Those things that are important to do as instructed, and not to use creativity, but to just get it done the way it's supposed to be done. The next outer ring is judgment and creativity, where we expect people to try things, to see what works. So there's a clear distinction and a clear boundary and a solid line between core responsibilities and judgment and creativity, because we really want it to be clear to people where we expect them to simply follow instructions and where we want to do learning and try things. But there's also a boundary beyond that, because where do our responsibilities stop? Where are we no longer responsible for either an action, a behavior, or some aspect of someone's life? And that varies from person to person, but there's clearly areas of people's lives that we, as people who are paid, are not responsible for. To illustrate that, let me tell you about Carrie. Carrie's a young woman for whom the most important thing to her is craft. Being able to do her crafts. Being able to have this project that she completes. And in the US, there's a store called Michael's, which sells all the craft supplies. And for Carrie, going into Michael's is not an opportunity to just randomly roam the aisles. Going into Michael's is a time to walk out with things that work for her and the craft project that she's working on. And she must, if she's walking into Michael's, walk out with something. But she doesn't always have the money to buy something. So you have to be thinking about this in advance. And it's your core responsibility to do the following. Anytime you're going to go out with Carrie, you start the day with, Carrie, got money today? How much money do you have? And if Carrie says, well, I do have some money, and when you hear about the amount of money, you go, well, that's actually enough for her to go shopping. But you then have the core responsibility of, oh, did you want to go to Michael's? And she says, absolutely. You say, well, what did you have in mind? Because you need to know, does the amount of money that she has roughly match what it is that she's interested in buying? And if the answer to those two questions is yes, then you go to Michael's. And you walk out with something and Carrie's a happy person. Now, what she buys is up to her. And if she's, cruising the aisles and says, oh, I would like this other thing, then judgment and creativity is how you kind of shape that, how you help her decide what it is that she's going to buy. Whether she buys it or not your paid responsibility, as long as she's got the money. But you have that conversation with her in advance.